that'll move us on to Smallville, Season 1, Episode 6. It is called Hourglass. Now, this episode
has a lot of Lana.
It does have a lot of Lana. It has Lana befriending an old... Because part of the school, Smallville High, something they do, all the kids have to do 30 hours of community service. This is like an awful school to go to. Yeah, this sounds like a nightmare to me.
I had to do like 2 weeks of work experience with my school, and I thought that was shite.
Yeah, I did work experience, and I never did community service, so gladly. That said, though, Pete at the start does mention they could have done it helping out with the girls' swim team. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It seemed
this
like
is just, Clark being shit.
Well, no. It sounds like he's being shit. He's like, oh, why did you pick the old folks home, Clark? Why be here? And then like Lana comes out. Oh, I didn't know you were volunteering here, Lana. I was like, yeah, sure, Clark,
yeah,
sure.
It's not.
Of course.
I love that Pete knows exactly what's going on. I was like, all right, okay.
Here's my weird thing. So they have a conversation, and Clark and Lana are talking. She's like, oh, yeah, you get this old lady. Oh, she's kind of fun. She says she can see the future, and this is, and they're kind of smiling, and they're talking, they're making small talk. And all I could think the entire scene was, wasn't it just last episode they kind of almost went on a not date to a Radiohead concert, and they kept being awkwardly talking about how it's not really a date and how this is kind of weird, and there's no witty in this episode whatsoever. We just have lots of more Clark and Lana making googly eyes at each other, because...
Not as much googly eyes as last episode, admittedly.
Oh, of course not. They're too busy both dealing with their old people. Lana befriends an old man who, it turns out later on, used to be a killer. A serial killer. He falls in a lake and emerges a young man. And here's my thing. Now, after this happens, it shows you that there's some kryptonite in the lake, which, by the way, kryptonite in the water does this. Okay, sure. Especially since kryptonite in the water, like 2 episodes ago, made, like, the...
but that was icy water.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that was cold water. This is regular water.
So regular water makes you young again. Icy water makes you into like a natural Mr. Freeze.
Stop pretending that kryptonite has rules.
Right. So not only that, right. So he becomes young again. My biggest problem with this at the start, though, is that as soon as he like comes out of the water, he looks at his hand for a second and goes, "Yeah, I'm young," right? And I'm like, no, this would take more time accepting. You wouldn't just.
I feel at least. Turn around and look in the reflection and then buy it.
Yeah,
not just the hand. He's
just excited immediately, and I'm like, how do you know what's just happened? Like, you'd have to take some time to accept it and realize what's happened. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway. That's just weird.
So she befriends him, then he disappears because he's young, and he goes around kind of stalking people and killing people based on, like, he's killing the kids of all the people who wronged him back when he was younger.
I think it was the kids of all the jury who put him away.
That's what it was. Yeah, the jury. Because he killed he was meant to go to the music conservatoire in Metropolis, and his teacher basically voted against it or whatever, and because of that he killed his teacher, and then he obviously got convicted of killing him, and that was the jury. That was the backstory. So while Lana's befriended this old man, Clark has befriended an old woman who also has a kryptonite power because she went blind in the day of the meteor shower. Of course, Clark gets some guilt from this, which she mentions. Like, oh, meteor shower? Oh, yeah, nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Good job. You can't see me blushing about how this is all my fault, isn't it?
Yeah. And she like sees the future. She like touches someone and she gets a glimpse of their future. And I'll be honest, I'd completely forgotten that an episode of this show ended with Lex, like, she touches Lex at the end of the episode, she sees the future of him destroying the planet, and it kills her.
Yeah.
That's how the episode ends. She dies because she sees Lex's future.
Yeah, it's so shocking. I do like that he looked very President Lex.
He did. What's funny, I remember they reused this footage later on. And I know, there's a similar kind of like flash forward or like nightmare sequence later on. They use the same footage of him in the White House, and then it cuts to footage of Terminator 3.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this back when it came out. I remember because I recognise it because there's a shot of all the nuclear bombs going up and landing, and it's actually effects footage from Terminator 3 of Judgment Day happening. And I'm like, that's cheeky.
They borrowed it, yeah.
Just cheeky is what it is.
Cheaper than doing it themselves.
And I get it, it's meant to be symbolic, but he's actually in a field of like bones, and then it starts raining blood. I'm like, all right.
But, yeah, all the flowers die.
But over the top, and all of it's horrible CG as well, might I add. Like, it is atrocious looking.
Yeah.
The flowers dying looked absolutely ugh.
It's one of these things where I like it in idea, but it just looks awful. That I'm like, we shouldn't have done this.
I think it's a bit on the nose, particularly for Lex, who I don't necessarily see as someone who's trying to destroy the world.
No, that's fair. I see. I don't think it's supposed to be he'll intentionally destroy the world. Just more through his ambitions, he will lead to its.
Yeah, I get it. And obviously I get that it's symbolic. It's not meant to be taken literal that he'll actually nuke the planet. But whatever. But not that Smallville's known for its salty. So here's a problem after this. So Clark, after the old woman guesses that Pete's forgot his keys, he immediately just believes that she can see the future. And the very next scene, he comes home. And Martha and Jonathan are doing some work in the barn. They're cutting some wood or whatever they're doing. They're using power tools.
Pretty standard farm work.
Yeah, standard. They've got the goggles on. They've got gloves. Something they've done 100 times before, a million times before, even. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. He comes in. He's like, "Jesus, guys, think of safety. I should do that. I'm Superman." Oh, they didn't say that because he's not Superman yet. But
we should point out that the old woman did say to him that someone close to him was going to die.
Yeah, I know, but the very next scene he comes in.
You hadn't mentioned that.
Sure, but he peels out the plug and he's like, "Guys, I'm here for this kind of stuff. You shouldn't do that." Old woman, she knows what she's talking about. Someone's going to die.
I appreciate that Jonathan's like, "Mate, this is a farm. This is what we do."
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing.
I just feel like he jumps to just believing entirely that someone close to him is going to die after one conversation. It feels so absurdly true. And then and then the next couple of scenes that he meets someone, he's kind of like being, "Oh, Lex, you okay? You fine?" Like, because Lex comes skidding around the corner in his car. Now, to be fair, he did almost die in the first episode with his car.
I think this is a good justification to be like, hey, slow down.
Yeah, because he did almost die already with this type of
exact
shenanigans
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes. And he's like, he basically goes to the old woman. He wants to know about Clark, because she basically figures out he's got powers. She kind of just guesses that, "Oh, you're special. You're here to help people," and blah 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 blah. And it's all fine. Meanwhile, Killer Man is like, talking to the girl at the coffee shop, and he has one scene where he overhears like them talking about him as an old man. He's like, and he starts using all these old phrases. He complains that the coffee's too expensive, and calls people doll and other
he
old
wants
man
the coffee
things.
from beans, not instant coffee.
Yes. So I mean, this is a stupid episode. Let's get that out of the way.
It is pretty stupid, but it's not the most offensive episode either.
No, it's not the worst, but it does encapsulate a lot of what makes Smallville a stupid show.
It does, yeah.
It does have a lot of that. Chloe's not got much here. She's just kind of there for one or two scenes to do some research or whatever.
She barely does anything, yeah.
Pete, of course, as always, doesn't really do anything. Lana's a bit upset at one point, though, because she's on the wall of weird. She discovers the wall, and she's like, "I'm on here." And this is me getting back to
bitch.
their like awkward non-date from last episode. Is he's like, "Hey, Lana, I don't see you as someone. As the little girl in the outfit who lost her parents. I don't see you as that. I see you as more." And she's like, "I know, Clark. You're the only one who does." And I'm like, yeah, totally not a date last time.
Yeah.
Where's Whitney, Lana? Hey?
Yeah, not even a mention.
Doesn't get mentioned once. Yeah. Doesn't even cut to him doing his community service. I don't know what he'd picked, but he's not there.
Probably not something stupid in an old person's home.
To be fair,
I like how Clark managed to rope Pete into doing it along with him. He's like, "Yeah, come on, we'll do the old photo."
But Chloe's elsewhere doing something
Chloe's
else.
elsewhere, and Lana didn't even manage to drag Whitney into it.
No. I just wish Pete's more loyal. Pete stands by his friend, whereas Whitney's just like, "Oh, I'm my girlfriend," but no, I'm not doing it.
I bet Whitney doesn't have to do it. I bet the school lets the football team off.
Yeah.
All right, you're doing your community service by serving your school.
Yeah. By the way, for anyone who actually does volunteer to places like this, we are not trying to be insulting. It's fine. We're making fun of it in the context of being forced to do it at high school.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say. Obviously, the big action sequence that happens is that we find out Jonathan's father was on the jury, so he comes to kill Jonathan, but he's not there. So we get like a slasher movie-esque sequence of him chasing Martha around the farm, and
it wasn't too bad actually.
Yeah, we have the grain falling on them in the silo and stuff. So
Martha being smart, being like, "Hey, where's our usual gas man?" And whatever she gives.
Yeah, she tricks him. She deduces.
Yeah, she's like, this doesn't feel right, and then she drops a name, and he pretends like he knows who that is.
Yeah.
Like, no, that wasn't really a real person.
It's pretty smart. one small thing I kind of liked, I guess, is that when Clark does rush back, you know, thinking his dad's in trouble, and his dad's there, he's just arriving as well. He's like, oh, I think he's still here. And, like, at the time, she's in the silo, kind of, like, screaming at that point, like, for help. She's like, oh, Clark, Jonathan, someone help. I do kind of like that this is a situation where if he had his super hearing, he'd find her quicker, but he doesn't yet. So, that takes too long anyway. I mean, he just sort of runs around.
A quick x-ray sweep as well.
Yeah. But, like, I kind of like the idea that, okay, right now, that this is more dangerous than it will be in a couple of seasons because that power's not kicked in yet. Like, I don't know, I kind of like that basic idea, I guess.
I agree. Another thing to give the episode a small amount of credit, I really didn't feel like there was a lot of songs this episode. There was a couple, but it didn't feel like anywhere near as much as usual. Alright, okay. That's actually kind of fair. Okay. Yeah. That's a point for it. Yeah. We had Lex showing Clark the Porsche.
Oh, true, yeah. And Clark's like, yeah, look, don't dwell in the past, Lex. Move forward with your life.
Yeah, you survived. I don't remember anything. It's cool. Look, it just ripped open. Just leave it.
Yeah, and instead Lex is just obsessing more and more about who Clark is, and, you know, how did he survive? How did he rip the roof open? What's going on?
Yeah, definitely.
But hey, so, yeah. Stupid-ass plot, but not the worst episode of Smallville, I guess.
It was the easiest one to watch in a while because it didn't make me angry.